None of us ever wants to see a horrific crash, like when a Dayton school bus with children inside flipped on its side.
It messed her up.
Now, as our I-team gets a hold of the newest number of tickets given to people who do not stop for school buses.
They hurry up and go around us. They're impatient.
Tonight, we examine if more of us using personal security cameras could be a solution. And those personal security cameras so many people use may be on 1 in every 3 homes in just the next couple of years.
That major research firm's prediction comes as the I-Team discovered more Ohio drivers speeding past stopped school buses. The I-Team's Sean Cudahy looked at technology's connection to cracking down on this growing problem.
It was a horrible moment captured on a surveillance camera after police said a car's driver did not yield, colliding with this Dayton school bus on the same side where the driver was sitting.
It messed her up.
More than 2 years later, the driver's uncle tells the I-Team she has struggled since that day.
And ever since then, she hasn't been the same.
He lives right near the intersection where the February 2017 crash happened. A student on board was hurt. Neighbors told News Center 7 at the time speed here was a problem. Today, Darren Wills says it's not any better.
Are children's lives at risk on this street because of speed?
Absolutely. Yes. I no question about it. You can stand right there and the car go by and make your body move sometimes.
And his street's not alone.
How often would you say somebody just blows by when you're stopped?
Oh, probably once a week.
Marianne Meineke
They hurry up and go around us.
Has been driving for decades.
They run our lights. They don't want to wait for our lights. They're impatient.
The I-Team examined 5 years' worth of traffic data. It shows almost every year the State Patrol ticketed more drivers for not stopping for school buses. We also found between 2014 and 2018, more than 6,500 crashes involved school buses statewide. Meineke says she doesn't need all that data to know how bad things on the road have gotten.
I think it's worse.
But there are efforts to crack down on the problem.
For years, many districts have had cameras inside buses to record what happens on board. But now some area districts are looking into having cameras outside the bus to record other vehicles.
I'm just a mom.
In recent months, I've reported on a local parent's mission
to solve a problem with my son's bus.
To get drivers to stop.
I went to the school, police, city council meeting, school board meeting, on the news.
Miamisburg City Schools ended up buying cameras to take photos of violators' back plates after Joanna Bentley captured a car flying by her son's bus using her doorbell camera. A tool police admit is becoming their best friend.
Well, for us, it's just another set of eyes.
But two of the biggest home security companies could not provide the I-Team with specifics. Nest's spokesperson only said based on law enforcement interviews, they believe their security cameras help deter crime. Ring's representative adding they do not closely track crime statistics, deferring instead to local law enforcement. So I went to officers with a simple question. Why aren't people stopping? We all know we have to. You can probably guess their answer, distracted driving.
Stay off your phone. If you're distracted by your phone and the child is not paying attention, something horrible is going to happen.
The problem's caught the attention of lawmakers, too.
This is an epidemic.
State Representative Niraj Antani is among multiple politicians proposing tougher penalties for drivers who don't stop.
Do you think right now it's just a slap on the wrist for people when they don't obey the law?
Yeah, that's right. It's a $500 fine, no points on your license, no criminal charges. We're talking about life and death of children here.
That's a concern Will says he has.
Every day. It's serious.
He's already seen what a car did to his truck while it was parked.
Knock this all in.
He hopes it's not a child.
What you gonna say? I'm sorry?
Next time. For the I-Team, Sean Cudahy, News Center 7.
Our I-Team coverage continues live right now on our WHIO News app and WHIO.com, where we've posted what the law says about when you can pass a stopped school bus. School shooting drills' emotional impact is now at the center of some parents and students questioning why these simulations have become so realistic.
It was very emotional. I started to cry.
I don't think they need these kinds of drills.
Doing harm or necessary?
We would not have done this if we didn't think our students could handle it.
Tonight, the I-Team examines all sides. Because of today's deadly school shooting in Santa Clarita, California, we know this is a sensitive topic on many of your minds, especially as school shooting drills are becoming more realistic and even frightening.
And district leaders' common argument is the reality is necessary to prepare staff and students for what could happen. But as the I-Team's Gabrielle Enright discovered, some of these drills are so realistic they might be harming kids' mental health.
Littleton, Colorado, 1999. For many of us, the 12 killed and 21 hurt at Columbine High School on that April 20th day forever changed our school shooting perception. Fast forward 13 years and more than 400 school gun violence incidents later to Newtown, Connecticut. That perception was deeply tested again after the Sandy Hook mass shooting left 20 first graders and 6 adults dead. And 19 years and more than 700 school gun violence incidents after Columbine, including 17 killed in Parkland, Florida, it all hit home last December in Richmond, Indiana. A former Dennis Intermediate student died by suicide after forcing his way into the school, causing an active shooter incident. While FEMA school shooting incident numbers date back to the 1970s, last year, including Richmond, they hit an all-time high, 110 incidents. This year, there have been 67. That means local districts are always preparing. Franklin High School sophomore Samantha Earnhardt knew ahead of time her school would be holding this active shooter drill.
It was scary. I knew it was happening, but I still jumped.
Still, she says the sound made as trainers fired blank cartridges upset her.
I started to cry. It was very emotional. I just don't know. It's a really horrible situation if that were to actually happen.
District officials said the drill's emotional trauma ended up meaning 6 of Sarah's classmates had to be escorted out of the school during the exercise.
We would not have done this if we didn't think our students could handle it.
While Franklin's principal said the drill's reality was necessary to prepare students and staff, Dayton Children's child psychologist Dr. Julie Stuckey,
I don't think they need these kinds of drills.
Is now questioning districts that implement the practice, telling the I-Team the latest research she references shows drills can traumatize students and teachers.
There's no research that suggests these kind of drills are any more effective than just educating people verbally or through writing.
The numbers the I-Team examined may seem high, but the psychologist says perspective is important. You're 3 times more likely to die choking, 10 times more likely to drown, and 23 times more likely to die in a car crash. Despite that, local districts, just like districts across the country, continue practicing active shooter exercises. Parents the I-Team talked with had mixed feelings.
Knowledge is power, and I think we need to teach even 3-year-old, hey, if you see somebody with a gun and someone tells you to do something, you do it.
I don't think it's appropriate for a 7-year-old. I think it's just too young. You would scare them.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
Similar scenarios turned into a realistic viral video as kids went back to school this year.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
In the national nonprofit Sandy Hook Promise video, you see students using their new supplies.
Pretty cool.
Protecting themselves and their classmates during a school shooting scenario.
These scissors really come in handy in art class. These colored pencils, too.
But as one mother told the I-Team right after last year's Richmond incident, that happened.
She said they were hiding under their desks and they had sharpened pens and pencils to make weapons and had scissors. They were prepared to fight.
It can be a real lifesaver.
Yes.
I showed parents the emotional video. After seeing that, what are your thoughts?
Wow, I guess I'm definitely going to talk to my 9-year-old.
No parent the I-Team talked with wanted to have a conversation with their kids about school shootings. But all of them said the reality of today and drills turning more and more real has left them no choice. For the I-Team, Gabrielle Enright, News Center 7.
The psychologist the I-Team talked with said if a child acts differently after being part of an active shooting drill, they may need to talk with a professional. The expert said parents have to watch out for changes in behavior or even sleep patterns and consider having them talk with a counselor if they have nightmares and keep talking about what they saw.
Don't think that your school is going to keep your kids safe.
A Miami Valley teacher had sex with that father's son.
It's disgusting.
Tonight, in his first television interview, he speaks exclusively with the I-Team. As our Newscenter 7 investigation follows the social media connection to teachers' sexual misconduct.
And it just happened again this month. An area teacher sentenced for having sex with a student. Madeline Arnett pleaded guilty to sexual battery. Part of this case involved the former Franklin High School teacher sexting with her student. She's been sentenced to 4 years for her crime and has lost her teaching license forever.
But when the I-Team dug deeper into those license numbers, I discovered current state rules make it hard to know if teachers' sexual misconduct is increasing.
And our investigation found social media has blurred the lines of contact between teachers and students.
And leaders in the profession say loose guidelines are why the rules need to change.
You know, but he was a kid, 14 years old.
Inside a Miamisburg middle school classroom, this man's 14-year-old son became his teacher's victim.
Couldn't believe that that would ever happen in the classroom.
During his first interview, the teen's father told the I-Team how that one act has forever changed his son's life.
You know, he's had to put up with bullying from other students. You know, people make comments, all kinds of disparaging comments.
During that teacher, Jessica Langford's trial, at first she tried to show she was the victim. In just days, she'll be released from serving her 1-year sentence in Marysville. Her jury agreed the evidence showed how she was guilty of abusing her power when she had sex with the 14-year-old in her classroom on the last day of school.
I don't see how anyone could ever do something like that, an adult. I mean, there's 17 years difference at the time of the offense.
And Langford, state numbers, Newscenter 7 and Dayton Daily News reporting show, is just one of dozens of teachers caught having sexual contact with students.
It's disheartening, it's sickening.
David Romick is the head of Dayton's Teachers Union.
I don't think it happens frequently, but when it happens, it's bad.
In 2017 alone, the Ohio Department of Education says there were 39 teachers with criminal sexual offenses. Another 863 teachers were found to have engaged in what it calls conduct unbecoming. But under current teacher rules, the I-Team discovered it's not clear how many of those hundreds of cases, if any, involved sexual misconduct.
I suspect many of the problems that we have today have been going on for a long time. It's just that social media magnify how often it happens.
The University of Dayton's Dr. Charlie Russo has authored papers and lectured aspiring teachers on appropriate social media use.
I think with social media now, as it permeates everything we do, teachers have lost the line between what's personal and what's professional.
Here in the Miami Valley and southwestern Ohio, at least 10 teachers have been convicted of sex-related charges involving students since 2013. 6 have gone to jail, and 3 are still in prison. Langford, former Franklin High School teacher Madeline Arnett, and former Fort Recovery teacher Christopher Summers. Summers had a more than 2-year sexual relationship with a high school student that included thousands of calls and text messages, some of which threatened his victim.
And started having contact through Snapchat.
The father of Langford's victim says she also used social media to communicate with his son.
She also texted him from another student's phone.
Nowadays, everybody has a cell phone, and many of these cases begin with texting and other forms of social media. Stricter guidelines are now being developed on how teachers should use social media to interact with students.
Technology is a part in the current one.
As the head of the Teachers Union, Romick says those guidelines will come in a revised version of the Ohio Educators Code of Conduct, which the I-Team has learned should be finalized very soon.
If we can make sure our teachers know how to do that and have clear guidelines around that, we're all going to be better off.
At her sentencing, Jessica Langford eventually admitted her crime and apologized to her victim.
I am completely responsible for my actions and should have never abused my power as a teacher.
Like the others convicted, she can never teach again and must register as a sex offender.
He's gone to counseling. We've talked about it. It's made us closer.
But her victim's father says what cannot be forgotten is the heavy price his son is paying.
Within the community, he has lost friends, very isolated.
Which is why this dad is so proud of how his son is now moving forward. Forever proud that his son reported his abuse at the hands of a teacher documents show had a history of concerning behavior long before the 14-year-old became a victim.
You don't want it to happen to someone else or their child. You don't. And that was the biggest reason why my son reported it.
Miamisburg School Superintendent David Vail would not answer the victim's family's charge his district mishandled their son's case, but the superintendent tells me their webpage now includes a teacher sexual contact reporting link. Meantime, a national monitoring organization tells me teacher sex crime arrests have steadily increased since the year 2014 to nearly 700 arrests last year. Part of their conclusion? Technology is allowing predatory teachers to gain 24/7 access to their targets. The I-Team will keep you updated on when the state's teacher guidelines are changed. And live right now online and on the Newsletter 7 mobile app, you'll find extended coverage with 5 Miami Valley teacher sexual misconduct cases.